It is all about the rumors today. We have new details about the 3 new iPhones coming in 2019, the next MacBook Pro, the Apple Watch, and Apple's 5G plans, so let's get started. I've decided to switch things up a little bit today because, as you can see, I brought some props with me, and I'm gonna need a table. These right here in front of me are the 2019 iPhones. What we think are the iPhone 11, 11R, and the 11S. Okay, so they're not actually this year's models, they're last year's models, but from the front, it won't matter. A new report from 9to5Mac this week paints a pretty clear picture of all the changes, or in some cases, lack thereof, we can expect in the next batch of iPhones. And it pretty much backs up most of what we've already been hearing for the past couple of months, so today, I thought I'd go through every single little detail in the next iPhone. So spoiler alert, if you don't want to know what's coming in 2019, stop watching now. From the front, they'll look almost exactly the same as last year's models. The screen will come in 3 different sizes: 5.8-inch, 6.1-inch, and 6.5-inch. 2 of these, the 2 more expensive ones on the sides, will be OLED, and the middle one, so the 10R sequel, will be LCD, with the exact same resolution as last year. And that true depth camera sensor on the front, with no changes in the notch size. The only difference here is that the front-facing camera on the 2019 iPhones will apparently gain support for slow motion video. This new information according to the 9to5Mac report. What it doesn't say is whether or not there will also be a Touch ID embedded in the screen. Where you will start noticing design changes is on the back of the phones. They're all getting a square camera bump. The XS and the XS Max sequels will have 3 different lenses: the traditional wide angle, the telephoto, and a new ultra wide angle lens, a similar setup as this year's Samsung Galaxy S10. The 10R sequel will also get a square bump, but only 2 lenses, likely the traditional wide angle and that ultra wide angle lens, because it's been using software to create the portrait mode effect. At least that's what happened last year. Now, in addition to all the new software tricks coming to your camera with iOS 13, like video editing, the report says these phones will include something called Smart Frame. It essentially allows you to capture the area around your framed shot, in a picture or in a video, so that you as a user can adjust the frame in post-production. So you can go back and adjust the framing and even the perspective. Although apparently for privacy's sake, this extra information will only be retained in the phone for a limited period of time. Now, the other design rumor not mentioned in this article, but that has also been making the rounds, is about the colors. Apparently, the 10R sequel will come in lilac and in green. These 2 colors would replace the current blue and coral options. No word yet on the other 2 phones. However, if I had to guess, I would maybe say a matte glass option. And expect a new mute switch on the side of the phone with a circular design that slides up and down like on the iPads instead of the current design. This was not mentioned in the report either, however. What the report did confirm, or at least back up, was rumors of a Lightning port. We'd heard earlier rumbles about Apple potentially changing to a USB-C port, but that's not the case. With design out of the way, the report also backs up rumors of a larger battery and 2-way charging so that you'll be able to charge your other Apple devices on your phone. Yet another feature that we saw this year on the Galaxy S10. What it doesn't answer is whether or not it will come with a fast charger in the box. And then in terms of processor, we can expect the incremental changes. In this case, they will have Apple's A13 chip. And sadly, it also backs up rumors about Apple eliminating 3D Touch on these models. According to the report, it will be called a Taptic engine, codenamed Leap Haptic, but we're not sure how it will be different from the Taptic engine on the current 10R or how it will be different from 3D Touch. My biggest question at this point is the name. So we've all been calling it the iPhone 11 and spelling it out with the number, but it could also be the Roman numeral, which would make sense based on the previous models. Or maybe Apple could go with something completely new and different. What do you guys think? I'll put up a poll below and you guys decide what we're gonna call it going forward. The other iPhone related rumor this week, Apple could soon be making its own 5G chips for future iPhones in-house. And I'm talking future iPhones.
The company just confirmed via its website that they've signed an agreement to acquire most of Intel's smartphone modem business, valued at $1 billion. It's still subject to approval, but it would likely close by the end of this year.
Intel and Apple have been in talks off and on for about a year now, from what the report says, and Apple could really benefit from having control over this particular piece of the puzzle. After a 2-year legal battle with Qualcomm over patent licensing, the company recently reached a multi-year chip supply agreement for an undisclosed amount with Qualcomm that would give Apple access to Qualcomm's 5G modems for their future iPhones. Buying the business from Intel, though, would mean Apple gets access to all the patents and personnel that comes along with it, essentially skipping ahead in the 5G game. Next up, more MacBooks. Apple recently refreshed its MacBook Air and MacBook Pro lineup, but we could be getting a brand new MacBook Pro as early as October. According to a recent report in the Economic Daily News, Apple is gearing up to launch a high-end 16-inch laptop with an even better LCD screen than the current 15-inch MacBook Pro. Other potential updates to this machine would include better performance, obviously, and a much-needed new keyboard that would ultimately switch from the current butterfly switch mechanism to a new scissor switch mechanism. But the upgrades won't come cheap because according to the report, the cost of this new MacBook would be $3,000. It also mentions an updated version of the 13-inch MacBook Pro and Retina screen MacBook Air in October. There's also a new rumor about the Apple Watch, which I know a lot of you have been asking about, and this one talks about the Apple Watch switching from a traditional OLED display to a micro LED display. This would not only make the screen look nicer, but it would also make it more energy efficient, allowing for better battery life. Now, the catch here, though, is that it won't be coming for at least another year, which begs the question of what Apple is doing this year with the Apple Watch. At this point, we've heard very little about the 2019 Series 5 watch, and the fact that we're already hearing about future models makes me a little bit nervous that we may not be getting one this year. And just when we thought Apple might be putting on the brakes on its AR/VR glasses project, we get new reasons to believe it's still a go. This week, Apple filed a new patent for a mixed reality system that would include a head-mount display and a controller capable of combining both augmented and virtual reality. Now, the headset itself would come with a bunch of different sensors capable of gathering information both from the user and from the environment around the user, while the controllers themselves would have at least one processor and maybe two. We were expecting a headset from Apple as early as 2020, but last week's rumors suggest we may have to wait a little bit longer. That wraps up our show for this week, but make sure to tell me what you think the next iPhones will be called. And check back in with me next week for more Apple Core. I'll see you then.